is the way to go. Oh, you say, no, come on here. I'm technical, and I'm fundamental, and I have a mixture of both. I am both. I say you gotta have the fundamentals, you gotta have the technicals. Why? Because I'm Woodward. I came to this country because I knew from England that the streets were paved with gold. All right? At any rate, I knew. My father said to me, son, go for 2 years. See if you like the country and the country likes you. Well, of course, that was 1960. And you know the decision I made. All right? So, came to UNIVAC. The computers I worked with are the size of this room. Can you imagine? And then was fortunate enough, in terms of working on online real-time computing, to then move to Xerox in its infancy. Xerox today, well, another matter. But the Xerox of 1963, the rest was history. No problem. Beautiful. All right. But in other words, it's the new America. You need stocks that are the up-and-coming growth stocks that make this country what it is. IBM, Cisco Systems, Intel, you all know, those were the winners of the past. Now what are you looking at? Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and so on and so forth. So you got to get with the times. We call those, by the way, we'll get to it, I'm getting ahead of myself, the canaries. You want to know what are the modern day winners. And I say to you, out of that bunch of canaries, before I forget it, that the one that you should be on after this correction has taken place, note the words, after the correction has taken place, is Facebook. It is currently at about 70, 75 or whatever, but for sure that beast is going to 130, and I'll show you. All right, but let's get back to it. The drivers. Markets have hot and cold spells, and in essence, here it is, it's drawn out for you. Markets account for about 40 to 45%. Some will say that's too conservative here. The market drives what happens to your stock, not the stock. The stock is only worth 20 to 30% in the big picture. It's the groups that count, and you better have the best one or two in that lot. And look at it, 70 against 30. So the tops-down approach is what gets you there fastest. Now, with all that you learn and all that you have by way of experience, immediately puts you onto the right fish. And that's what this whole 3 days is all about. So, don't forget this. You need to work tops down because I don't have time. I don't have time. By the way, newbies, I used to stand through all this presentation. Now, unfortunately, the jolly old arthritis in the knee has in fact made me sick. But that's all right. When I get up, you better listen. All right. So remember that. All right. Now I gotta sit down again. Next slide. Okay, gas in the tank. You need strong earnings. You need oil in the engine, revenue. You can't fake earnings growth for long unless you see revenue growth. They go hand in glove. Don't forget that. You need a tune-up. This is most important. Improving earnings and revenue in the short term. What do I mean by the short term? The last 2 quarters. We'll show you that. I mean, this is all plucked in terms of key concepts that I gleaned from Bill O'Neill. All right? Give him credit for what I knew. Bright weather, a strong market with the wind at your back, fast roads, the right industry groups, wolf packs. You want those stocks that are in fact moving the fastest in an up market. Sticks. And you know that when this is blood red, and this is blood red, and these are all negative signs, you're out of here. Or you're sitting up and taking notice and doing something. You don't sit there. And that was 9:25. Here we are at 10:18. And we know what happened in the last week. So there's no excuse, is my point. Next slide. All right, so and you have this as well. This is in the newsletter. Readings as of 10:07. And all you do is look down, what is the percentage from the high? And look at these percentages. And what will become ingrained in you is -8%. Why? I'll show you. Dennis and I slogged for days at this stuff, all of 2006 it was, right, Dennis?
Yes,
back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, back then. And in essence, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, -8% down from the high is a critical point. I'll show you. That's all you got to remember. If it's above that, well, all right, you're getting wibbly wobbly, that's fine. But -8% down from the high is critical. And look at this, the RUT and the S&P 600. You know this. The small caps have been hit hard in these last few weeks. Harder than the rest of it. See, the Dow's been the least. By the way, this is 10:07. It's changed since then. But it's close enough for government work, for Pete's sake. Next slide. Oh, by the way, and the nice part of it is this. Everything works, in my vernacular, in 4% at a time. A minor correction is between 8 and 12. An intermediate correction is between 16 and 20. A bear market is 20% down. And of course, you can have the big stuff of a crash, 40, heaven help us. So let's try the next slide. And here it is, S&P 1500 with percent B in the bandwidth. And what I'm showing you is just this year. Here is the 1500, the green fellow, trotting up, trotting up, trotting up. And of course, as you can see, occasionally percent B comes down through the bandwidth. But mostly it'll trot back again in a matter of a few days. Notice this big dip here. They tie together. But look what's happened here. That's whiplash. That's what you had to put up with. And that's why I asked, you type 3s are buying stocks in here? I hope you're selling or placing puts. But even that, you say,